Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Most Important Conversations Daily Meditations. We conduct these meditations Monday through Friday, and the overarching theme of these meditations is liberation. Each meditation begins with a talk. We have two different types of meditations, both guided and watcher-observer. Today we're going to be doing a guided meditation, a neurosculpting guided meditation. And the talks that we begin with each day, the content from which we pull it from our main program called Whole Life Architecture, which is a transformational program where participants are in a live format, liberating themselves from their conditioning and stepping into their power as the creator of their life so that they can create a life by design as opposed to merely continually tolerating a life by default. This morning, I would like to speak a little bit more about what I was talking about yesterday and kind of deepen it. We're in this moment of time where we are experiencing enormous amounts of change, societal change, that's impacting us on a personal level. The economic change that we are going through with the disruption that artificial intelligence is just beginning to cause. The change is a result of robotics. The layoffs that have already begun. All of this is going to have a dramatic impact on people's lives, so dramatic that I believe we are on the verge of a mental health crisis, the likes of which we are unprepared for, which is why connecting to communities like ours, the most important conversations, is probably the most important thing you can do. We've lived in a society that has conditioned us over 80 years to believe that we are islands unto ourselves, that we don't need to be connected consistently in community. We can just take a course or go to a conference or do a workshop for a few days, a week maybe even a couple months, and that'll suffice. We are islands unto ourselves. We take courses and go to conferences and we take workshops to optimize ourselves for higher performance in a consumer-based economic model, a model that is infinite theoretically, but exists on a finite world, a model that has as its only reason to exist growth for growth's sake without limits. And the only thing, if you think about it, that mirrors a growth for growth's sake without limits model, which is what our economy is. Every society, every quarter we ask, have we grown? What's been our growth rate? How much profit have we made? The only thing in the world that mirrors a growth for growth's sake model, an infinite growth for growth's sake model, constrained by a finite planet or a finite system, the only thing that mirrors that is a cancer cell. A cancer cell grows just to grow, and it grows without limits, and eventually it hits the limits. Its unlimited model hits the limits of the host, upon which it requires to survive. And that's what we have in our society, and we're changing the dynamics of the very economic system that we've been conditioned in. We've even applied the growth for growth's sake without limits model to our own lives. More is what matters. You're never enough. You could always be more. And so this has become part of our conditioning, and we look outside of ourselves, the hallmark of the consumer-based model of economics, and frankly of how we run our society. The hallmark of that is we look outside of ourselves for who we should be and what we should do. And so over the last 80 years, we've been told you're an island unto yourself. We've been propped up by a consumer-based economic model that has taught us and conditioned us to look outside of ourselves for answers, not to trust ourselves. It's also taught us that as islands unto ourselves, we don't need anyone else, that we can be propped up with the so-called safety and security of our job and the commitment that the company will make to us to consistently provide us that predictable income. And then on top of that, we were given a system of credit that had us 10x our purchasing power. You know, most people couldn't afford their homes, their cars, or even to go to college were it not for systems of credit, for loans, mortgages. And so this system created the conditions that made us believe we could exist on our own. We could have our own house with 4 TVs and 2 cars, and we could have somehow afford it all even though we didn't own any of it. But it got to our head. It fed our ego. And so over decades, we detached from community. I said yesterday that there's that famous quote. I think it was George Bernard Shaw who said, "The only thing required for evil to thrive is for good men to do nothing." And this conditioning that has us believe we are islands unto ourselves, this conditioning that has us believe the only thing that matters in life is just to grow and to grow and to grow, is an evil that's been perpetrated on our consciousness. It's an evil that's been perpetrated on our emotions. It's an evil that's been perpetrated on our physical bodies, because that same model has led to the creation of a toxic food system. It's all about growth. It's not about thriving. It's led to the creation of a polluted world. It's led to the creation of a world on fire, all of which impacts our wellness. And now with artificial intelligence, we're going to rip the rug out from that system. This also is an evil, because we're doing it before we are preparing people for the dramatic change that they're about to encounter. Most people won't be able to just go up the street and get a job if they lose it as a result of AI and robotics. And most people don't have the skill sets. They have not developed the skill sets to be a creative, critical thinker, to be a creator. So they can't just flip a switch and under the duress of losing potentially their house, their car, or having to downsize as a result of lost or radically transformed income, they're not going to be able to just flip a switch and go become an entrepreneur or business owner overnight. That's a totally different way of thinking. And so this too is an evil that is being done to people by those who frankly couldn't care, all in the name of growth for growth's sake without limits. And by the way, you're an island unto yourself, didn't you know? So it's not our problem. It's all being flipped. So what are you going to do? This is an evil that's been perpetrated on you in our society, and it continues to be. You have a choice. All that is required for evil to thrive and to exist is for good men to do nothing, good people to do nothing, good women to do nothing. The biggest challenge people are going to face is around the mental health crisis, which is that we're on the verge of a mental health crisis we're unprepared for, because there's no greater mental health crisis than when a human doing loses their identity for what they do, and they have never considered who they are as a being. We have all been taught for 80 years to be doings. Put your natural creative essence to the side. Do this job. Do this task. We will pay you for it. And we will plug you into the system of credit so that you can 10x your lifestyle and think that you've got it all handled. And this will feed your ego, your identity, that you are all independent and powerful. And the lie of that is about to be revealed. So how to combat this? Or better said, how to grow and evolve through it and overcome it. The isness of what is happening is happening. None of us individually can stop it. But what we can do is recognize that we aren't simply a tool to feed a machine, a growth for growth's sake machine. The last 80 years since the Second World War, when the consumer economy emerged, has been one of the most clever deceptions ever pulled over the human race. It has turned people into walking unconscious reactions to everything in their life. Looking outside of ourselves, because we've been trained we are consumers, for everything. We must consume ideas, we must consume time, we must consume space, we must consume our own identity. Not just the consumption of things, we consume each other's time and space and ideas. We even consume our relationships. Everything is consumed from the outside in, and it's supposed to be, it's expected to be in the service of us. It's all about, what do I get? And I want more, and there's never enough. The power that you have to hit the pause button on this conditioning, to liberate yourself from this conditioning, is absolute. There is nothing stopping you from making a new choice and recognizing that you are not a human doing, you are a human being. And as a human being, you thrive with human connection. You thrive in community. You are a social animal. As a human being, your essence is not to consume, it's to create. And you've created everything in your life, or at least the conditions for it, without even realizing it. You create your perception through which you interpret the world. You have the power to create your belief systems. You have the power to step outside of a binary, reductionist, ones and zeros decision-making matrix and embrace choice. Life is not black and white, right and wrong, good and bad, follow the rules or get punished. That is an overly simplistic construct that is part of the consumer-based model of living. You have choice. You are at choice. And you can choose to step back into your humanity. You can choose to begin to transform yourself from a consumer to a creator. You can choose to connect to your natural essence as a creator. You can choose to recognize that you are bound and integrated to all of nature and to one another. You can stop resisting this. You can drop the egoic identity that says, I am an island unto myself, I need no one. It's all about what I get, and you can start asking the question, what do I give? How can I give? What can I give to contribute to a thriving humanity? As opposed to, what can I get and consume for myself? This is a choice. And as far as I'm concerned, it's the only choice that we can make to reclaim our power and start to work together and bind together and become a community of co-creators and collaborators, creating a new world. This is the power we have. As individuals separated as islands unto ourselves, you have no power. All you can do is consume. All you can do is run on the treadmill you're running on. But when you bind together, when you drop and master the ego, when you become the creator of your own identity, of who you choose to be, of not who you've been told to be, and when you connect to others on that same journey, and you do the work of liberating yourself from your conditioning, unwinding the thinking patterns, the emotional patterns, the physical withdrawal symptoms you will go through from transforming yourself from a consumer, liberating yourself from your conditioning, and stepping into your power as a creator, which you are infinitely powerful there. When you make that choice, you have stepped on the road to freedom. Freedom is not being isolated. Freedom is not being an island unto yourself. And freedom is not being able to, is not doing whatever you want at the expense of others. That's called license. And we have a whole society of people who egoically believe they have the license, the absolute right to do anything they want at the expense of everyone else and everything else and everything that thrives in the natural world. Consequences be damned. All that is required for evil to thrive and to persist is for good men and women to do nothing. The most powerful thing you can do is reclaim your power as a creator, liberate yourself from your conditioning, and step into a community of people doing the same and work together, create together, collaborate together, and lift each other up. Because if left to your own individual devices in a trap that has been laid for the past 80 years, you will not thrive. So the invitation this morning as we move into our guided neurosculpting meditation is to ask yourself, at what point are you finally going to acknowledge you are not thriving? You are not alive in the way that you could be. You are not truly happy. You feel lost, alone, isolated, fearful of the direction of the world, and you want to do something about it, but you know as an island unto yourself, you've been relegated powerless. Will you make the choice to step up and step forward for yourself, to be a stand for yourself, to liberate yourself? And if you'd like to make that choice, I'd invite you to check out Whole Life Architecture on tmicglobal.com and join us as we are expanding our community in early 2026 and inviting as many people who choose to liberate themselves, who choose to stand in their power, who choose to take control of their aliveness and their thriving, and to do it together, and to get out of the trap that we've all been conditioned to accept as reality, as normal, and begin to once again thrive. Ask yourself if you're finally ready to make that choice. I'd like to invite Mignon now to join us this morning to guide us through our neural sculpting meditation. These meditations help develop neuroplasticity of the brain. They help us drop our conditioning. They help us stand more powerfully in a liberated state by making the brain malleable to change and not so resistant. So Mignon, if you'd like to come forward, that would be wonderful.
Thank you, Chad, and hello, everyone. Today's neural sculpting meditation will take a look at creative possibilities in the space of the unknown. And along the way, I'll be offering cues, toggles, and creative imagery. So you might hear me spell out words or dial up or down or invite playful or even bizarre imaginings, all intentionally designed to guide your experience using the 5-step neural sculpting meditation process. A process that helps to calm the nervous system, prime the brain for creating supportive ideas, giving you agency in how you move through life. And with a regular practice, the meditation can be supportive in helping to reinforce desired outcomes and create lasting shifts over time. So I hope it serves you in a really good way. So let's take this time to go on a meditation journey. To begin, I invite you to orient to the space around you in this moment, to notice the structure beneath you supporting your body. That might be the couch, a cushion, the ground, and orienting to the space around you, including what's in front of you. That might be a wall, it might be something else. And orient to what's behind you, and maybe what's above you. And as you are getting acquainted with your body in this space of this location, you can let your mind go wherever it needs to go, because your breath is keeping you right here. You might notice the rhythm of your breath as you inhale and exhale naturally. As you are noticing the flow of your breath, where do you notice it most? Maybe it's the movement through your nose. You might notice it in your throat. Or are you noticing the belly and the lungs rise on the inhale and release on the exhale? Maybe you imagine that your breath can smooth itself out, expanding your body on the inhale and relaxing on the exhale as it empties effortlessly. You might choose to follow the next exhale, imagining it to disperse out of your nose and mouth, filling up the room around you. This is your breath breathing in and out, consistent, comfortable, supportive. Your deepening breath can invite the body to let go of any tension or gripping in the muscles, finding their way to relaxation and comfort. You might want to drop your shoulders or give your neck a gentle stretch, or roll out your wrists and ankles if that feels good. And this one and only moment, your body has comfort available to it. Comfort of your breath, maybe comfort of the temperature in the room, perhaps comfort of a cushion or chair supporting you. Your most basic needs are happening in all moments. And as all of this keeps supporting you from moment to moment, you are reminded that your creative mind can go wherever you'd like it to go. So I wonder if you can imagine being sound itself, vibrations traveling through the air, like a melody or tone drifting effortlessly from one place to another, carried through the air. Maybe it feels zingy or soft and wavy. Or maybe it's more fun to imagine that your limbs could stretch like a cartoon, long and flexible. Imagine taking long strides of 20 feet or 50 feet when walking through the park. How wild would that be? And with your creative mind able to go where it wants while your body remains comfortable and breathing, you might find extra comfort knowing that you are the author of this meditation, a meditation to explore the unknown, of future space and time, possibilities. If you could bring your awareness to an area in your life where uncertainty has prevailed. Perhaps the answers are not clear as of yet, and maybe there's a problem to be solved or dreams to be realized. What comes to mind? And because your creative mind is able, you get to write the narrative of this future story. What if you were to give yourself permission to visualize and create the space of possibility? A scenario for this space and time. What does your mind visualize spontaneously? Where does your creative mind go? This opportunity to play in your wildest dreams, maybe dreams of abundance or love, or perhaps something else. Maybe you imagine the ideal health regimen easily coming together that truly works and brings results. Or perhaps you create the space to accomplish a lifelong dream of completing a project near and dear to your heart. Or maybe it's something else. And because this is your story and your creative mind can go anywhere it wants while your breath is breathing and your body is supported, what do you imagine if you give yourself permission to create the space of possibility? And if you could imagine a sound or vibration with this possibility, what do you hear? Maybe the sound of applause. Maybe a favorite tune is playing, or maybe silence, or something else. What's the perfect level of the sound if you imagine this? Is the volume turned up and robust at a level 10, like a standing ovation? Or is it better dialed down to a 1 at a whisper? And because your breath is breathing itself and your creative mind is awakened, maybe you imagine in your mind's eye a color or colors representing this visualization, like warm sunset hues or cool colors like blue. And perhaps there are textures, soft and smooth, or bubbly, or something else. What does your creative mind notice? What would it be like to take this color, sound, vibrations, textures, the visualization, and put it in your body? Where would you put this? Would you put it in your hands, maybe in your heart or your head? Or maybe you imagine putting it somewhere else where it works really well for you. What things do you notice when you place and merge with your creation, your possibilities? Maybe a warmth that spreads or a depth that anchors you comfortably as you embrace this truth. How does your mind imagine it? Maybe your being experiences a pulse that moves through your body. Maybe there's a brightness to your inner landscape, or is that something different for you? And remembering that your body listens to your narrative, so too your body is listening to the way you relate to this wonderful possibility in the tones and colors. You might even notice a sensation. Where is your body most responsive to this experience? Maybe that's a smile on your face or a flutter in your heart, or it might be entirely different for you. This is how your body is relating and associating, and you get to remember that, marking it in your body's memory with a simple hand gesture or placement of your non dominant hand. And each and every breath can integrate this experience more and more until it becomes familiar, widespread inside of you. Integrate it. There might be a word that can also activate this experience for you. A word that you can say or write or hear or read that will remind you of your potential and possibility. What's your word? And because your body listens so well to your body may remember this future story each time you say your word or make your hand gesture. And just as your breath breathes itself, even when you're not noticing it, so too this vibration can expand even when you're not noticing it. And you are invited to continue exploring this possibility, allowing this visualization to become more and more real in your inner landscape, even as you begin to notice the sounds around you and gently returning to your awareness to the space you are in, allowing yourself to come back, ending your meditation. And I thank you for joining us today. And I encourage you to take a few moments to journal about your experience. I look forward to having you back for our next meditation. We meet each Monday through Friday at 7 a.m. Pacific. Wishing you a beautiful day. Be well.